The idea did not come to me fully formed. The idea was more of a feeling. Normally, if I have a feeling that I want to exercise, I will either, watch a certain film or listen to a certain album or find some way to satisfy the feeling. And I think I was having a feeling that I had nowhere to put. There wasn't a song, there wasn't a film, there wasn't an answer to this thing I was feeling. And so the answer was to create the thing myself. And so I started to write. And yeah, slowly it became what is now Blink Twice.
It's about a couple of girls who go to a rich man's island on what they think is a casual holiday, and turns out to be a lot more.
Slater and probably like people that even I think kind of live like this, you have the intention of what you want it to be. You like want it to be like really clean and nice and like the experience to be like all taken care of. But it's hard. You better always ask yourself like, why is this happening? Like what is the purpose? What's the intention behind it all? And I think that's where our movie is very specifically, telling you that things are not as they seem.
It was fun because the script left a lot of room for a lot of characters to sort of fill in what their backstory was and how they related to each other. And because they play with chronology in this story, just how people got to know each other. And Channing's character, Slater, is always sort of, he has a bunch of experiments going on at the same time with the people around him. He's always doing something to explore the psychology or something with the people around him and manipulate the people around him, even though I think like most good villains, he believes he's doing something good and doing something noble and pushing humanity and consciousness into new realms.
When you make stories like this, I think it's important to remember that it is about power, and that power can't be given, it has to be taken. And so I think that's one of the strongest themes of this film is it's about a woman taking her power instead of just trying to be a savior, and like women always having to be like victims who escape and survive. It's like maybe they take more to get back what they lost,
Frida to me she's young, she's full of determination, but she's also lost and doesn't quite know where to put that energy. A lot of us have been in that situation where we think what we want is actually what we want, whether it's like the car or the boyfriend or the house, and actually the reality of that thing is completely different, and she is in a space of naivete that the thing that she is really gunning for and wants is exactly what is going to make her happy. And I think on this journey she figures out that she was incorrect.
I play Slater King. He's a tech sort of billionaire kind of guy, and probably got a lot of money at a time where there were no rules. When you get a lot of money at a young age, like there's no playbook or rule book that tells you how to do it.
I think Channing is incredibly charming just by nature. I think he's so sweet and charming and kind and funny, and he's almost has this like big brother energy on set, which really makes you feel really comfortable just around him and even around Slater King. I think there's elements of Slater that are kind of bro-ish in a way, and that's been really interesting when he has to be so serious and sort of creepy, because he is so inviting. I'm saying Slater. So I think he brought this really interesting element that I didn't see on the page necessarily. And seeing him live in some of these scenes is incredibly terrifying.
Slater King is going to be played by Channing Tatum, who is in truth, I dare say, the sweetest angel of a human being I've ever met in my entire life. Like, it's rare you come across a person who just like feels like they're just navigating through life, just spreading joy and love in every direction they possibly can. And that is Channing. And I think that's what enabled him to play this ultra villain of Slater King. Because you're gonna meet Slater, and you just, for the whole movie to work, you gotta understand why Jess and Frida get on the plane. And it's because this guy is awesome. He's just beyond dreamboat, and he's just the cutest, sweetest, most successful baller of a human being. And that's why we all go on this trip with him. Those of us like me, Jess, and Frida that haven't been there before and are kind of dealing with this, is because we fall in love with him. And that's what like happened being on this set, and that's what hopefully is going to happen in the movie.
He's incredibly wealthy and charismatic and has that kind of impact on people where they're like swept away by how gorgeous and charismatic he is. So he has a very powerful effect on people. I play Stacy, who is sort of the all-around girl Friday. You know, I kind of do everything and nothing. She is quite scattered. In fact, very clumsy, and we don't know quite why that is happening, but you find out later why she's so profoundly clumsy. But in the meantime, I get to be really funny. I mean, I think the character's very funny.
It's definitely, you know, in the thriller horror genre, I would think. But, you know, in my opinion, our favorite films have elements of all the genres. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the thriller horror genre. I've always been, and I think I like films that keep me at the edge of my seat. I like films that I have to try to figure out what's going on, and you kind of get to engage with the movies in a different way when you're trying to put together the puzzle yourself.
I think what sort of allures the women to go to this island is the beauty. It's the almost how private it is, how, you know, not that many people in the world get to be in this island or be a part of this group. There's like an elite status. And I think what makes it so dangerous and what makes it so terrifying is the fact that you feel so safe, is the fact that you're with, you know, this powerful, famous guy who will never do anything because he is so famous. If he does something wrong, he'll ruin his whole life. So it's impossible. There's an element of fear there, but there's another element of there's nowhere to go. You got on a plane, you landed on this island, you have no idea what country you're in, you have no idea how to get out. There's no self-service, and there's the seclusion of this island is what makes the realization that we are completely stuck and we have no way out. And that is sort of what drives the second act of the film.
The movie is designed to take the characters, you know, your main character Frida and Jess, but like to take these people on this journey that kind of is too good to be true. You know, and this is one of those moments where you're just like, oh, it is too good to be true, and like, but wait, why? What's happening? What's going on? This is like a really kind of mysteriously, I don't know, invasive feeling that kind of comes into the movie, and it comes into the characters' minds and their awareness as well, and it kind of has to come to a head at some point.
Luckily, we shot this movie, most of the lighthearted comedic stuff first, and then we kind of got into the darker stuff later, thank God. I don't know if that was by design or what, but luckily that was the case, because then by the time we got to the heavy stuff, we all had bonded. You know, when you shoot a movie like this, you really kind of bond. You're with each other all day, every day. You're in the same hotel. You're stuck together. And by the time it got to the heavier stuff, we all had some form of bonding.
Stan's role in the story is the enforcer. He shouldn't be heard from. He should just be there in case something really bad happens, and then his job kind of comes into play. For law enforcement, there's the city provides the laws, the state, the county, federal laws, there's all these laws. Well, on the island, the laws come from Slater King. He is the king. So they're not always moral. In fact, quite often they're not moral. But Stan is 100% involved in enforcing whatever Slater King thinks needs to be done.
Zoe was amazing at casting because, to me, like watching Channing in all of his movies, he's so likable and so charming, and you're on his side, and he brings that to the character. Obviously, there's this other side that we're not used to seeing Channing perform, like a darker, much darker energy, but because it's Channing, he's able to grapple with both of those sides. And I think through seeing him as Slater King, you can understand why someone would if they were invited to a private island by Slater King, would be like, yeah, great, I'm totally going.
I mean, I could sit here and talk about Naomi for hours. I mean, but the easiest way to say it is just that she's probably one of the more talented people that I think I've ever worked with. Like, she can kind of do it all and does it weirdly effortlessly. Like, you know, she'll just drop into a perfect English or American accent, like no problem, and just keep it going. And then like she'll be like, I want to find like a person to actually like, you know, kind of start to like mimic so she doesn't feel so standard. And then we can just cry perfectly crocodile tears on command. I mean, but she's also super funny and just vulnerable. I think that her real character and her real like humanness, I think, is like one of the biggest, I think, weapons that she has as like a creator. She's so sweet and so humanly like vulnerable that I think it just kind of oozes through every single scene.
There's a lot going on there with Frida. I think, you know, she definitely has her nose pressed against the glass, you know, of this kind of dream world where everything is easy and done for you. You know, she is somebody who pours champagne for other people, and I think it only makes sense that she fantasizes about somebody pouring champagne for her. So I think she's drawn to that, which is absolutely okay. I mean, she's somebody who's literally told by her boss, you know, be invisible, you know, and who wants to be invisible? Nobody.
I think Frida has goals, and she doesn't care if anything stands in the way, she'll get it. And I think this movie shows her arc, obviously, the most about someone who's, you know, playing dumb a little bit, like most women have to get the things that they want. And she's fierce as hell, you know.
There are too many things that are special about making this movie, from the subject matter to its social imports to the thing that it has to say about who we are as human beings and how we interact with one another and how we use our power with one another, to the location, to the incredible cast that's been assembled, to the fact that Zoe and I have been working on this script for 5 solid years and working and rewriting to get it to this point. Everybody here feels like they're on a really special journey with one another, and watching them be in this space together and have this kind of energy and passion for a film like this, for a film about a difficult, very, very hard to wrap your head around subject matter, it's incredible.
The fun, pacey energy of this is really, really special. But then afterwards, I really hope that there are moments where the audience members can start to discuss the deeper layers of it.
What we want audience to experience during this film, because like I think in a lot of ways it's kind of going to be what hopefully it felt like to make this movie, in which you're there, you're having a laugh, it can kind of feel just like the lightest thing in the world, make you feel like you're on vacation, that wonderful feeling, but then it turns so dark. Working on this at a lot of times, despite how awful parts of it were, felt really healing. And I hope that seeing this movie, and not only in its revenge, but like in depicting stuff that as a society we don't want to look at, in a serious and hopefully beautiful and heavy and meaningful way, can make people look at their greatest fears in the eye, and as a guy and a girl, and realize the horror of that situation, and the way that horror can get diluted with comedy just like it does in real life, and see the ways that has to be changed.
I really hope people, when they watch this movie, have a good time, because, you know, as a lover of cinema, like, that's what I want to feel when I watch a movie. You know, I want to go and be entertained. I was thinking about filmmaking recently and just what it, you know, entertainment in general. And as I'm a very heady person, I'm thinking a lot in my head all the time, as I think most of us are. And for something to truly capture your attention so that you're able to take a vacation from your own mind, I think is a major gift. So I just hope that people are able to take a break from their own brain and go on this journey and have a good time, and then have great conversations with their friends after.
It's a really special place.
You know, it's out here, but I think it's just about like, Frida, make sure the clothes are behind you.
Yeah.
And you're being polite, but it's like, what what's up?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Cool.
And then usually they'd be like, oh,